Hi, my name is Isabelle Hosier-Hartley, and this is my story. I moved to Ohio from Kentucky around the age of 5 or 6 to move in with my now stepdad. He was the reason we started going to church. Growing up in the church was a lot of fun. I remember the activities and like Sunday school and everything. Started the youth group up there in Ohio. In 2017, I was 15 years old. My parents had made the decision to move my little sister and I down to Tennessee. I absolutely hated the idea. I loathed it. I had friends in Ohio. I wanted to stay there with my friends. I was still in contact with my biological dad, and I saw him as my main father figure in my life. And when we were about to move, I got really, really depressed. And then we had moved, and it all went away for a little bit. It was the best. I enjoyed living down here. It was phenomenal, meeting new people, having the opportunity to build new relationships. After a certain point, the newness of living down here wore off, and my dad and I, we were still in very close contact with each other. Him and I, we would talk on a day-to-day basis, and I was pulling away from my own parents. It got to the point where I was asking to go live with him, to him, not to my own parents quite yet. He was all for it for a little bit, and then he realized at some point that that's a terrible idea. And so I sunk deeper into a depression. It was February of 2018, a couple days before my mom's birthday. And I looked at my mom and Brent, and I was like, I'm gonna kill myself. That was the only solution that I had. Nothing felt real, nothing felt genuine anymore. I was just going through the motions, and everything was just numb. When I told my parents, they didn't know how to react. They actually got quiet, and my mom looked at me and she's like, what do you want me to do? And I was like, and I just shrugged. They were like, okay, we'll talk about options tomorrow. And I was like, okay. The next morning, I had woken up and I thought everybody had left the house already. So I went out to go grab something to eat, and my mom was still there. She had looked at me and she was like, do you realize that we actually love you? And that hit me a little harder than I expected it to, because it felt like nobody loved me. It felt like I was the last thing on anybody's mind, consistently in my friendships, family relationships, everything. She told me that, and I remember not crying in front of her, but I broke down crying after I had walked back to my room because of how hard that hit and how I sat there and I was like, I was about to take my own life when I have at least one person who severely cares for me. That was when she put me in therapy, and my therapist was Christian-based, which I was extremely grateful for, and she helped me grow in my relationship with Christ exponentially. A verse that she gave me that stuck out was Joshua 1:9. This is my command, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Because I would go through the motions every day where it felt like nobody was there, nobody was around, when in all actuality, Christ was right there. I keep that verse very close to my heart now. And anytime I feel that way, because there are some times where life gets a little too much, where I need to remind myself of, you're here for a reason, this is the reason. In the long run, my relationship with Christ has grown so much since then, and I hope and I still pray that it continues to grow the way it's been going. After I got help because of my mom and through my therapist, I realized that I should probably start limiting contact with my biological dad. A year after I decided to do that, my mom had come to my older sister and I and told us that he was in jail, which took me by surprise. Then he was released a little bit later, and then he got arrested again, put back into jail, and then like clockwork, released, and then back into jail, and then released. It had taken a toll on me at that point that he is going to keep choosing the lifestyle that he lives and has over his 2 daughters. And so I cut contact with him fully in 2022. And I realized that even though he's my biological dad, that doesn't mean he's my dad. A dad is somebody who actually steps up and takes responsibility for his children. And I was very blind to it, but my stepfather, he took that role, and he took it very proudly, and I could not ask for a better dad in my entire life. Even though I have my biological dad and I have my stepdad, who is absolutely wonderful, I also have a Heavenly Father who will never fail me and will continue to love me till the end of time. I hope that if somebody is in a similar situation where they feel like it will not get any better, that they know that they can have somebody to reach out to that understands. It might not be the same situation, but will continue to understand and be patient with them as they go through these steps in life. I wanted to share my story so that other people who are in similar situations know that it's not the end and that it is okay to reach out for help. And even if you don't feel like somebody on earth loves you, there definitely is, but you also have Christ.